mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I am joined, as always, by Dan from Bleed and Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
When I told you, well, no, I'll start that one again. When I told your stepmother that she would make an excellent dinner, that was not a lie.
Hi.
I'm tired and I'm coming off the back of working an entire freaking year. So
Yeah. Yes, you are. It's over though. You did it. You made it.
did I? Am I really here? Am I a
You are,
ghost of myself?
No, you are really here.
Hey!
Oh, God bless you. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Monsters Up North podcast. Today we're getting a bit festive, in a way. Yeah?
Turkey festive.
Turkey festive. But that's still two of the same holiday.
Turkey Day.
Turkey Day. American Turkey Day. There you go. American Turkey Day, because we are doing Thanksgiving. Don't know about you, but when I went looking for this movie, this isn't the first movie that's called Thanksgiving. There's quite a few.
The B World movies have cometh abundance.
Cometh. Oh, I like that. They've cometh. Right. I'll get the disclaimer out the way with, and we're going to crack on open this slasher delight. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our Facebook pages, the Discord, or the comment section, where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of a nerdism.
Don't be a dick.
It's as simple as that, really. I shouldn't have to say all this stuff. You just have to listen to that one thing. Don't be a dick. Simples. Do you know what I didn't do last week? You know when I introduced you? I just said Dan from Bleed and Marvelous. I might as well have just said her, I were there.
Ah, well, if they don't know it by now, then
But I always say from episode 1, and as always, joined by Dan from Bleed and Marvelous. And I just went, her. Just her.
that one over there. Sitting in the junk room.
I was like, my God, Sam, you awful thing. So I apologize.
that
I
woman
didn't write
looks
this
like the thing from Labyrinth with all the stuff that makes the room like go on her back, you know. Her. For the audio listeners, go tune into YouTube and you'll see what I'm talking about. Do you want a fez? Do you need a fez? Do you want a drinking vessel? Would you like a gravestone? Would you like another
You shouldn't offer people these stuff, because what you have people will want, especially Bob's head.
Can't have Bob. We may have some of these coming in. We definitely have more of these coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Her and him coming in, not Chucky, the Flasher Gremlin. We've got more of those coming in. We have loads of these, which are the blacklight new.
I see them.
But they are flocked as well, so it's trash and suicide.
What? I actually know what that means.
Yeah, but yeah.
Hey. Well,
I'm business while I get a chance, because I've got to do my stock check. So the website's only open for pre-orders currently at the moment. Doing my little plug. But yeah.
What have you got on pre-order?
Just the Pale Girl bags, Art the Clown bags, and the Crow bags, and the hot sauce, because we're doing another run of the hot sauce. So because we sold out of that. So
because it's very good, even though I have not yet opened my bottle because I'm a wuss.
Well, it's not just that. People don't want to, because they say it looks so good. So watch this space. So watch this space.
Oh, well, if we've got the plugs out the way, even though you really should plug more.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a bit self-indulgent. It's not really me.
I'll do it then. Right. Thanksgiving is a 2023 slasher film directed by Eli Roth and written by Jeff Rendell,
Rendell.
based on the story by the pair, who produced with Roger Burnham, based on Roth's fictitious trailer of the same name from Grindhouse from 2007. There will be no leftovers, as Monsters Up North brings you Thanksgiving.
And you know what? This goes out on Monday. And what
Yeah.
is it on Thursday in America?
Oh my God, have we timed it?
We have timed this
Oh, look at us.
because by some weird way, it's Thanksgiving for America is never on the same day every year.
No.
In England, we have these weird things where we have a day and it has a date, and that is it. It is
Yeah.
stuck to that. In America, it's the fourth Thursday of November every year. The fourth Thursday of November is this Thursday if we're going by today being Monday. So
Wow. Okay, so we've actually managed to time something to perfection. Well
I'm
done us.
surprised. I colour me surprised. And I only found that out when I did the research on Turkey Day because it's not something that we celebrate in the UK.
No.
Which does shock a lot of Americans.
Mhm.
And if you are an audio listener or a visual listener and you are from the Americas, yes, British we do not celebrate Thanksgiving because why would we be thankful for you becoming independent?
Yeah. I think at the time we kind of wanted to take that away from you. I
Yeah,
believe.
sorry about that.
So
You know,
sorry. It was a long time ago.
wasn't me.
Was it? No, definitely wasn't
Wasn't
me. I'm from the north. We wouldn't have given a shit.
Wildlings.
Exactly. What was I going to say? My brain's gone to mush. Thanksgiving. It
Yeah.
blew my mind when we did Grindhouse this year, when we did Planet Terror and Death Proof, that I actually found out that this was part of the trailers for that. And I genuinely didn't know.
Yeah. Eli's actually in the trailer for this movie.
Ah.
And the original premise for this movie in the trailer, in the fake trailer of Grindhouse, was that it was a boy who had a pet turkey and his parents killed his pet turkey to serve up for Thanksgiving. So he killed all of his family.
The monsters.
That was the original premise of what Thanksgiving was going to be about, but that was in the 2007 Grindhouse commercial. So, out of the Grindhouse commercials now, there's been 3 movies made off of the back of that. So you've got Machete,
Machete.
Hobo with a Shotgun, and now
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. So they were all made off of the back of those Grindhouse adverts. So it was one of those just really strange things. And Hobo with a Shotgun, I strongly suggest if you've got time you want to waste, it is a good waste of time film. It is ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
I can never say his name, so I apologize in advance. Rutger Hauer plays the hobo with a shotgun.
Right.
And if you've ever seen Trailer Park Boys,
Yeah.
you'll know Ricky,
Yeah.
the Rakens. Ricky plays the first kill in it, and it is just ridiculous. So
Love Trailer Park Boys.
I saw him live actually.
Really?
Yeah, they came to Cambridge Corn Exchange and I went and watched them live, and I just still love Bubbles. There's no way you're never going to talk the kiddies. You're never going to tell me that.
them glasses, man. The face. He's adorable.
It's just one of those things where it's got nothing to do with the weed or the alcohol or any of that for me. It's just how stupid the whole premise is.
And how straight they all play it. That's the funny side of it. It's just so straight. It's been a while though since we've watched it.
Green bastards, parts unknown.
Oh, I'm really pleased though that Eli Roth decided to do a slasher film, because it feels like a lifetime that we've had something new, something different.
Yeah, I mean, Terrifier.
Yeah.
Right, okay. If I'm going to be completely honest about how I feel about this film, it is very similar to how I feel about the Terrifiers. The plot, the characters, all forgettable. The killer isn't. The killer is great. It does great kills. It's everything you want.
Great aesthetic, like The
It's
looks were
everything you
great.
want in a slasher. It's
Mhm.
everything you want in an iconic character. I don't think that I don't think that he will get the same kind of traction, Carver, obviously, as the
Mm.
Terrifier, because there's something about the way Dave Howard Thornton plays art
Yeah.
that brings him more to life because he has expression. You can see he's a person. It's not just a mask, even though it is
Yeah.
a mask.
Mhm.
But the kills in Terrifier, Damien writes them so well that's what makes the movies for me. The acting it has progressively got better throughout all three.
Yeah.
But genuinely, it's not the characters are forgettable. I couldn't tell you anybody's character names. I can now because the makeup brand that we sell have
Well,
got
yeah.
their names all over it, so I know them. But in general, I feel very much the same about this plot line. Run of the mill, but that's the point with Eli.
Yeah.
The character names, I had to write them down because I couldn't remember any of them.
Yes.
And it was the kills, it was the
The kills.
inventive kills, it was just how well thought out they were. And then I watched a video tonight that was showing about Easter eggs all the way through this, about how it tells you from the start who's doing it, and you never realize until you go back on. I watched this video and it's blatantly obvious. I mean, anybody who watches these kind of films, slashers or these
Mhm.
whodunit horrors, you're very much versed into how they're set up. You know what you're getting into, you know what
Yeah.
to look out for. And this film's no exception. It is kind of obvious about halfway through who it is.
Oh, you say that, but on my first viewing, I was like, well, it's definitely him. Oh, hang on a minute, is it him? Because he's lying on the floor. Like, oh, okay. It might not be him. I'm gonna hold off a minute. Oh, and then when the reveal happens, like I fucking knew it, but I didn't. It did throw us, but that's just me in a nutshell. Like I'm so gullible. Like I begin, of course, he's saying he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
But yeah, it's Eli basically wanted to do a homage to an 80s slasher,
Yeah.
without going to 80s, whereas Damien went full 80s
Oh.
B movie quality and acting. This was the first movie in 10 years coming out of TriStar as well, because 2013 they did
Oh.
The Evil Dead. I don't know whether we're calling it a reboot, remake, whatever the frig it's supposed to be.
Whatever it is, I kind of enjoyed it. I watched it just
For
before
what
I
it
went to see
was,
Evil Dead Rise, and it was fine.
yeah, for what it was, so yeah, it goes in the same category as Evil Dead Rise, for me, because they are
Hmm.
two separate entities that is in a bigger picture. They're
Yeah,
nothing to do with Ash. They're nothing to do with that world. It's just the
and
idea is there.
yeah, and it doesn't take away from it.
No,
Like I didn't feel it did anyway.
but TriStar, this was their first horror film in 10 years since Evil Dead. Um, so they were taking a bit of a risk because it's not something TriStar tend to do. They're known for Ghostbusters. They're known for a lot of things, TriStar. I mean, Columbia Pictures as well. They went hand in hand, and they had a battle over Ghostbusters, but I won't get into that. Um, but yeah, TriStar is the horse, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah. It's the white kind of Pegasus thingy. But yeah, TriStar don't tend to do horror movies. They tend to stick to the middle of the road comedies, rom-coms. That's their world, which is cool. But they took a punt on this and they gave Eli 15 million for the budget for this, which is a big budget, but Eli being who he is, I don't think it's that big for Eli Roth.
No.
I don't know, because I mean you've got to think of his previous experience. You've got Cabin Fever,
Yeah,
Hostels, all the Hostels. I think he did all three.
I've never seen any of them.
We're gonna do them at some point. We have to, because it's
Oh,
just they
I'm
are.
kind of. Do you know what? And I don't mean to. I think Terrify is kind of like taking away that, you know, gagging reflex that I have when I watch stuff like that. Like I'm getting more used to it.
They're if we've done Saw, they fall into that gore porn kind of category. I don't know
And I can
what else
deal
to
with that.
call it, but
Yeah, I can
um,
deal with that.
but Hostel is insane. That's where Eli became very, very known for his, not his effects, but his kills, his um the level of gore he brings to a film. He takes it and then he turns it up, but he doesn't do it to a point where it's comical. Well, he can do if the moment calls for it, but it's not.
Do you think that's because of his actual deep affection for horror? Like, we've watched his documentaries that he does and the TV shows that he does, and that guy has a genuine love for the genre. Like, this is no joke to him. So do you think that's what it's kind of like? It's very much like Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
like how Jordan has
love.
that.
Yeah,
it's love.
I mean, for God's sake, he's the only person who's been brave enough to do something that could be seen as well, he sees it as a homage to Cannibal Holocaust, but the Green Inferno. Now, he got a lot of gip for that because he cast his wife in the lead character role and all that sort of stuff. And then you see Megan Trainor's husband get eaten alive in it, and it's a very, you don't see a lot of cannibal movies, but Green Inferno is probably the modern day cannibal movie, and I don't think it's that bad. We won't cover that because I know you get a bit squeamish about the old.
It's the fact you mentioned Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
No.
The film itself is a whole bag of what the fucks, but I mean, it's 70s, it is what it is, it's exploitation, it's many, many things, that film. But it set a precedent for filmmakers to be able to take that kind of documentary style, reality style, it wasn't so much handheld, that came later, but that whole raw shooting comes off of the back of that. It comes off the back of that movie because the guy, I don't know if people know, but the guy who actually directed it got taken to court because they genuinely thought it was real.
Yeah.
And
he had to prove it.
It was insane what he had to do to get, to prove his own innocence. Like,
didn't they have to take in one of the props that were, the one that kind of pinned the people to it, like when they were like skewered through it? Didn't he have to take that in and show them how it was done?
And they had to present all of the actors and actresses that had died in the film and things like that. It's absolutely insane because people it become so up in arms because a lot of things happen in
what a testament to your movie, though. Like, regardless of your feelings on it and the whole turtle incident, that's a huge testament to having to prove that it was fake.
And that's the thing. Eli has this love for horror to such an extent that he likes to pay tribute. He likes to find a section of cinema that he hasn't seen in a while and do something with it, like not reinvent it, because it's not reinvented in any way, but just bring it back to the forefront for a bit,
give a bit of a freshness to it, a little lighten up. He did say that this was the one movie he only ever wanted to make. If this is the only movie he can ever make, this would be his magnum opus. This is it. And I kind of get why. I know, but I kind of get why, because as a horror fan, don't you want that perfect slasher? Yeah. And I'm not saying this is perfect, but in his eyes, in his mind, this is.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that's how he sees this, then kudos. But I think he's done better.
Yeah.
Even I know he didn't direct Inglourious Basterds, but his role in Inglourious Basterds was still better than this film.
The bear. Was it the bear?
Can't remember what he was called.
Oh, I do know what he's called, but I don't know if I can say it. I don't know how YouTube will take to it, so I'm just going to leave that one. Yeah, I like him in Death Proof, even though he's only in it for a very short period of time. I love the way he says Shauna Banana. But yeah, but I don't know. I have a bit of a soft spot for this film. Like, I really did. I watched it. I managed to find an English copy of it because all the rest of them I've heard in Spanish. It got to the point where I actually thought to myself, just put the subtitles on.
Well, it is. I think it was like you don't have the ability to rent it on Amazon, but if you wanted to buy it, it is there for like $4.99 or $5.99 to buy if you so wish to. But that's the only place I could find it. Everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's on Netflix." I was like, "Not on UK Netflix," because I trawled UK Netflix and it wasn't there. But
and I'm telling you now, if they don't put Face Off on the UK Netflix, I'm gonna flip me shit, because it's just been announced it's going on the American one.
What, the TV show?
Yeah,
or the
TV show. Yeah, not that Face Off. No, not that one. Glenn Hendrick. Hendrick?
Yeah,
Hendrick?
yeah, Glenn Hetrick.
Hetrick, that's it. He announced that season 4, 5, and 6 and is going on. I was like, amazing. Better be going on the UK one, that's all I can say. Um, didn't see Patrick Dempsey. Didn't see Patrick Dempsey in a slasher film, and then had to think to myself, hang on a minute, this isn't the first horror that Patrick Dempsey's done. This is
Done
his
3
third
now.
one.
This is
I can
4th.
think of one off the top of my head, but I can't think of the other ones.
This is his 4th. He did. I've got it written down because I knew I'd forget because hole in my brain.
Yeah.
He did.
He did Scream.
Yes.
3. You know, the better
Scream
of the
3.
screams, as we learned this year.
He did The Stuff, which is a film I want to cover.
Yeah.
1985. He did Outbreak, which was the monkey one in 2005.
Right.
And then he did Scream 3, and he played Mark Kincaid. And then he's done this one. Now he shall be in Scream 7, so I have heard, because he is now married to Sydney and has been married to Sydney for the
If
time.
you hadn't have mentioned that one, we covered Ghostface. I would never have known that.
It was in the Scream 5
It's when
where
he's talking to Dewey, isn't it? When she's talking to Dewey.
I think, yeah, it's either Sydney speaking to someone on the phone, and they're basically saying, "Are you safe? Are you okay?" And I think you're right, it is Dewey. And he said, "How's Mark and the kids?" The only Mark is Mark Kincaid, and as you can see in 3, there's a bit of connection there.
Yeah.
So they're saying that when they do 7, they're going to bring Kincaid back. Now, I can safely say that Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy, for those of you that watch Greys,
Not
right,
McSteamy, as I kept calling him.
that's the other one. And I found out
Go on.
McSteamy is married to Rebecca Gayheart, who is in Urban Legend. She's the crazy head.
Yeah, is he really? I honestly thought he
Married.
was gay.
No, married.
Oh no, that's it's a character he played in, you know, one of those really shitty rom-coms where it's like
All right.
different stories. It's one of I hate the fact I've just admitted to that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that him and Rebecca Gayheart are married. But yeah, he McDreamy. I didn't. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm underwhelmed. I think a lot of it is when you've binge watched a season of TV, and
Just you literally have just come off the back of Greys.
I can't get into season 21. Anyone out there who's a serious Grey's head? I'm not, but I needed to watch it because everybody told me to, and I fell in peer pressure on that one. And I did like the majority of it, but they were very repetitive seasons, and all she did was worry about, him and
Herself.
well, herself mainly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Meredith is incredibly selfish. But you committed, like you fully committed to that
I had to
series.
see it through. But yeah, I mean, it was a shock when she had that weird episode about where she was dying of long COVID and she was hallucinating, and McDreamy was on the beach, and it was a shock to see him and how different he looked
And
from
George.
that point. And George still looked like George, but George looked a lot older, and I was like, wow, heaven's not been friendly to this lot, has he? And when you gradually seeing them all like turn up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they've not thought this one through. You could tell they were shooting in COVID because they had to be outside on a beach, miles apart from everybody, and
Sitting away from each other.
it was weird. It was really weird. But yeah, so it was a bit of a shock seeing him in that. But then you hadn't seen him in anything since. Well,
No.
I personally hadn't.
I
'Cause
haven't.
I don't watch rom-coms. I know he did a Disney movie. He did the one with Amy Adams. Is it Adams?
Enchanted?
Enchanted. Yeah, I know he did that because he was Prince Charming, or supposed to be a
Yes.
Prince Charming guy, which makes sense because he does give off that.
It's the hair. Like if you put Patrick Dempsey in a good hair, yeah, you're gonna get a Prince Charming. What got me in this role is the accent, and he did not drop that Massachusetts accent once
You know why?
because he's
That's
from
his real accent.
Massachusetts. Yeah,
It's his real accent. Yeah, I
it
was
was so
surprised.
good.
I was really surprised because you're so used to hearing him with a very baseline American, like
Yeah,
my accent, which is a nothing English accent. I don't have an accent, like in the sense of you've got a specific accent that's regional. I don't live in the region I was born, so I don't have an accent. I have a very generic, flat,
Well,
there's
yeah.
nothing
To,
to it fancy.
the thing is, though, to everyone else, people can hear that I'm from the north, but if you put me up against a true Mackem,
Mm.
I don't sound anything like them. My accent comes from the other side, the more Durham, Washington side. Not so much the Sunderland side. But when I've been around Mackems all day, I start to speak like and especially when I'm very relaxed, like I get like Anne says I sound too Geordie, and even though I live nowhere near Newcastle.
Same thing happens with me though if I hang around with my dad too much, and my dad's very like if I go and visit my dad, by the end of the conversation I'm like by the end of the trip I'm like I'll talk to Rob and I'm speaking like this and I'm really going into it because like when I'm speaking very much with my dad's all something and nothing and we all speak very much like
Yeah.
that, and my accent does come out, but
See,
generally I don't have one really.
No, my parents and my sister, we don't really, and even aunt, we don't have like what I would class as a very thick Mackem accent. We can tell where we're from, but it's like it's not as thick as what it can be.
But
People
yeah,
couldn't
it was really
understand
nice to
me.
hear him. It was really nice
Yeah.
to hear him with that accent because it wasn't like he wasn't being all charming and all
And it was
calm and
it's almost quite sleazy, like
yeah.
especially when he got angry towards the end. He was it worked. Like for me, it really worked. And now I know that because I was really like, oh God, he managed to keep that whole accent going all the way through. Well, of course he did, because it's his own.
He was born in Maine.
Oh,
So
did you hear the rumor today? And it is just a rumor. It didn't actually happen. But and kicking off with me because I am getting my news from TikTok now and not actual genuine like sources. But apparently, according to the internet, Stephen King got removed from X because he called Elon Musk the first lady. It's not true. But how funny is that?
do I want to get myself removed from X? Oh.
It tickled my funny bone today.
Yeah,
Because I was like, that's something he would do. Because I've read 2 of his books now and I'm really well.
it's the political state in the US. Either way, your choice, your vote, your choice. But good God, guys.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
I don't know what's going to happen, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Just don't close the doors to the Brits, because frankly, I love going there. So
And yeah, and we'll have you out like monsters. We'll have you. Just come and join us. I love the settings of this place. I love the feel of this town, the aesthetic of it all. It very much reminds me of Gilmore Girls. That kind of like community feel. I really like that.
where's Gilmore Girls set? Because this is New England. This is Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Oh, I think it's called Stars Hollow, but that is
I know
clearly
it's
fake.
fake, but like, is it supposed to be somewhere like Massachusetts or
Could
LA
be.
or?
No, hang on. Where is
I've
Gilmore
never seen
Girls?
Gilmore Girls. I've never seen.
I feel you would like it because of the aesthetic of it. You'll just be in constant wonder of autumn. Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah, so that's by Massachusetts. It's the next one
Yeah.
over. They
Yeah,
have very
so
colonial styles with their
oh, I love it.
the shiplap on the buildings and things like that. So
I love it. It reminds us of the town in H2O. I love that too. I just so 'cause I love the idea of homely and community, and this kind of gives us that feeling. The opening scene on this though is far from community.
anything but community, yeah, because this is the
Ooh.
thing that I think Eli Roth does well. He does big, I don't know what the words are. It doesn't even have to be a massive people scene, but he can pull off something really big and shocking
Yeah.
with only 2 people in the room or 1,000 people in the room. I don't know how he manages to do it, because when you see Hostel 2 has a scene in it between the woman who is in Lucifer, who plays Lucifer's other half in the TV show.
Oh,
Lauren Green, I can't remember her name, Lauren something. And then the guy who is called Roger Bart, who most people know him from Desperate Housewives. He played Doc Brown on West End, but he's American. He's a lovely, lovely man in any of the interviews he's ever done. If you see him, he was, and there's this huge scene where it's just the two of them, and it is one of the most horrific scenes you've ever had to witness to watch.
Ooh.
You see the character of a man turn on a dime, and you see her do the same but in the opposite direction, and it's just something about how Eli can make something, you can watch it happen in real time, and you're like, oh no, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah,
That's what happens if you do that, and that's exactly what he does when he applies it to this opening scene.
I think it's every stereotype when it comes down to the Black Friday sale.
100%.
Because I can't. This is, see, we don't. This isn't our holiday as UK folk. This is not our holiday. However, we have adopted the Black Friday sale.
Correct.
Which is the biggest fucking con ever going, in my opinion. But tell that to the people who are like getting, 75-inch televisions for next to not paid full price at the beginning of the year.
It's all right though, because it'll be all the ones that are stuck at the back of the shop that they save all year for the very toot sales. This is your Temu sale of the year. This is all your Temu quality goods that comes out to the front of the shop that people think they're getting bargains for.
Absolute tat. But yeah, we've adopted the Black Friday sale, and this is what we are walking into in this movie. A supermarket that thought it was a great idea to open on Thanksgiving and start their Black Friday. And it's a waffle iron everyone wants.
I don't understand the need for a waffle iron. I don't have one now. I think I got bought one when I bought my house many, many years ago, and it never got used. So
I lent my dad's, and it was an absolute disaster. Like, I'm not joking.
We have toasty makers here. So.
my dad went through a phase. My dad's an appliance guy,
yeah.
So he likes a good appliance, and he has an iron, like a proper cast iron waffle maker, and I wanted to lend it because apparently I like waffles. It was a mess. It was a fucking mess. It was up my walls. It was down the counters. It was everywhere, but where it was meant to be.
They're horrible, and their buggers clean as well. So
tell us about it. You think it would just peel right off? It does not. It does not.
No.
Nope.
No.
Yes,
now,
I wanted a waffle iron.
If I remember rightly, Rick, I've got to remember his real name. The dad.
Oh, the dad.
I know him, Lewis, from Suits.
What's his name?
Rick Morris. Rick something.
Why don't I have his name here? Or no, because I'm looking at the bloody. What's his character name?
He's the dad, isn't he? He is. Dun, dun, dun. Have to write him down.
Is it Mitch?
Thomas. Is he Thomas? The dad?
Is he not Mitch? Is he not the owner?
Oh, he might be Mitch. Yeah.
If it's Mitch, yeah, it's Mitch. It's Mitch Collins. I think Victor Olsen. Oh no, is that not? Oh, I'm very confused right now. I did only watch this yesterday. Thomas Wright. Rick Hoffman?
Rick Hoffman, that's it. Rick Hoffman was actually, he's somebody that he's worked with before because he was in the first Hostel.
I like him as a comedic actor.
Yeah, in Suits, he's great.
I've seen clips of him, and I like him as a comedic actor because he's very sharp, isn't he? Like
he plays that butt-kissing, snivelly, whiny guy really well. Like that's his MO, that's his like ballpark, that's where he lives in. Most of the parts he's ever been cast in has been that guy. So this, to a degree, until the end, you don't kind of see that side of him. They don't give him enough, I don't think. I think he would have been better to have seen more. I'd rather have had a bit more character development from the dad than I would have of the friendships, because the friendships just bore off. It was boring.
Do you know? Because it's kids not of our generation. This is the now children, and these, I am not on their wavelength.
I mean, I like the idea of the whole at the time Instagram quotes and being put on that, being tagged in Instagram and everybody seeing it, and
that is very much of the now, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the idea of them bringing that in kind of social media in to make it very now, but the problem I had was you still have the standard layout, and I know that's what Eli was going for. The jocks, the clever kid, the pretty girl, the prom queen. You still had your tokens, in that sense, but I have to say, for a final girl, she was a bit shit.
Wah,
She was
wah.
flat. I mean, I'm not saying that this was her fault as an actress. I don't know. Could it have been the way she was written? Could it have been the way it was edited? Could it have been her acting? I don't know. I genuinely don't know out of the three of those. But
She had a bit more to her than Sam did in Scream 5, I'm not gonna lie. Like she had
I
a bit more to her than that. Yeah, no. But she was a bit wah wah. There was, do you know, there was another girl who was part of their clique. She would have been a perfect final girl because she was absolutely batshit. Like she was incredibly hyper to the point where it would have been very delightful to watch her being that final girl in the end.
you had. I was trying to think of the other characters. You had Yulia, who was the Russian guy's daughter,
Yeah.
who was going out with Scuba, who was the jock. Then you had oh
It was
God.
Gabby, that's it. Gabby would have
Yeah,
been a great
Gabby
final
and
girl.
Evan. Evan was the floppy haired jock.
Yeah. Well, he's
And
the one who
Gabby,
he's recorded it all, didn't he?
yeah, Gabby was she's actually a TikTok star in real life.
Is she?
Got cast off of the back of being a TikTok star. And she is actually 9 times removed the real niece of the real John Carver as well.
Well,
So talk about weird coincidences.
well, that is, isn't it?
Mm.
I didn't have any feelings towards the group, like at all. Like it didn't. They were there, they weren't there. But and there's one bit that at the end kind of like it almost foils the whole plan of the killer, where he's like, "You recorded this, right?" And like tough tits, like. And the guy even says, "I wasn't the only one there with the phone that night."
Well, the bit about this, right, is the way it opens up is you see everybody sitting down for their Thanksgiving meal. Ty Olson opens the door.
Mm.
For those of you who don't know who Ty Olson is, you know him as Benny.
Benny.
I know him as the man who drew a dick in Jensen Ackles' hand on the front of my magazine, and I told him off for it. And others might know him as DJ Quayle's other half now. So, Ty Olson has a way of getting around. He's that guy that appears in so many things. He was
Yeah.
also the security guard in X-Men, where Mystique
Yes, he was.
draws the iron out of his blood. So Ty Olson's been in everything. He's one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You see him having to go into work on Thanksgiving because his boss called and said that he'd be fired if he didn't because someone else has called in sick. So he was telling his wife and the family that was sat around the table, I have to go in, otherwise I'll lose my job. And then the policeman sheriff turns up and there's this weird little trio vibe going on between the sheriff, Ty Olson, and Gina Gershwin.
Yeah.
And you can't put your finger on it, but you just think they're really friendly people.
Mm-hmm. But
They
he's the
might
sheriff. He clearly, it's like he knows everyone.
Yeah, but it felt like they'd known each other. Maybe she was his ex-wife. You couldn't place the dynamic, if you know what I mean, but you knew that
But
they
there was
knew
something
each
there.
other. And then obviously he goes into work to go and open up, and all the friends have snuck into the back entrance because the final girl's dad owns the shop, so she knew how to get in the back really easy.
Yeah. And the shop is literally covered with people.
Yes,
They are up against a barrier, two security guards, because they wanted to point out you only had two security guards on with a litter full of, and they are awful people. Horrible people.
a waffle line. Indeed, they are.
For a fucking waffle. The one of the kills, the woman who ends up being one of the kids, she is vile.
Mm.
She's horrible. Like I was happy when she got killed.
I think that's the point. It was just so.
Yeah.
What I read somewhere that apparently this actually really happened, and
What?
it was used as it happened in a Walmart. I've got it written down here.
I never read that.
Yeah. Sorry, bear with me. I'll find it because I want to get it right because it's real.
Oh,
Yeah.
just
The mob scene at the beginning of the film and Doug the security guard's death were most likely inspired by the tragic death of, now I'm going to butcher this name, so I do apologize, Dimute Damer, an African American Walmart employee who was trampled to death by a wild mob of shoppers who rushed into a Walmart in Long Island in New York in 2008 on a Black Friday. Walmart was then later sued by the family in a wrongful death lawsuit. So it was very, very similar. So I think it had some sort of, I don't know whether they took inspiration from it, but it seems very close for them not to have.
Oh, because he got flattened, didn't he?
This is the thing. What happened was the guys were in the store, the two jocks, the two girlfriends, Bobby and whatever her freaking name is, the final girl. The six of them were well, not so much all of them, but a couple of the guys were taunting everybody outside.
Oh, at a rival football team. That was
Yeah,
it.
and then the sheriff obviously clocks them because all the people are shouting, how are they in there, if it's fair, and all this sort of stuff. And then the gates started being pushed, and then the jock grabs the megaphone and shouts, "Doors are open," and everybody just surges towards the doors. And the poor guy, poor little Doug, runs in and he's locking the door because he thinks it's the best thing to do.
No, just open the door. Do you know what it reminded us of? Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Black Friday with Bruce Campbell and
Oh no, I haven't. No, I've not
I
seen
want to
that
say
one.
Channing Tatum might be in it, but I can't remember for sure.
I've
Black
seen
Friday.
the.
Oh no,
I can picture the poster.
Devon Sawa. Devon Sawa.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it reminds me of that in a way, but Black Friday is just, if this genuinely happens, which we've seen footage of it genuinely happening in America, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. You
It
don't,
doesn't matter.
your life is not worth a 75-inch TV for $25, is it?
No, it's really not. And let's be honest. I mean, I don't know if America gets this, but we get the January sales. Like there's a sale just around the corner. We get Boxing Day sales.
They don't have Boxing Day.
No, they don't. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
We
you have to
do.
go back to work on the day after Christmas. We don't.
Nope.
But yeah, it's one of those weird things where I will never understand the insanity.
Mm.
I get, from a financial point of view, don't get me wrong, I get it. If you can't afford things all year round and Black Friday is the only time you can afford to purchase
Yeah.
something, I understand, but
Is it
again,
worth your life or a life?
is it worth a life? No, it's not. It's stuff. It's stuff. Stuff doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. If someone is left without a brother, a sister, a family member, and I'm
Yeah.
getting pretty serious, but because this scene feels very much like it was based off of the true story.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought this was like kind of like a representation of like a very heightened Black Friday sale.
it may well have been, and just coincidental that it fell into the realms of similarity, but it's where it goes from here, which I don't understand how this really was the catalyst for John
Yeah.
Carver to become
Yeah.
a maniac.
To be honest, he went after the wrong people. I mean, he got the right people as part of the collective, but the kids, they were nothing. Yeah, they were there, but so was thousands of other people.
But I think what it was they were taunting them. So technically he sees them as starting the whole thing. I can only presume because they were taunting him. But what happened was, and I give Eli his due for these couple of deaths in this scene.
Oh, they're so good.
When they get pushed through when the window comes through and Doug's getting trapped underneath and crushed to death, a guy catches his neck on a big lump of glass that's poking out, and I just thought, oh, that I hadn't thought, but it makes sense. That could potentially happen.
It's not an out of place death. Like
No.
that could realistically happen. The mother,
Gina Gershon, Amanda, her character. That I thought was really well done, but it took me a second to work out how she died.
It's the hair caught in the trolley and it's pulling away her scalp, and I'm like, oh, stop.
That was clever.
That was clever.
If you think about how Eli's done gore before. He's done torture porn. He's done like with Cabin Fever, like disease,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it has a place, and it makes sense that, from what I could gather, her neck got broken by the two trolleys because
It
she
looked
fell
like
over,
it.
smashed her head, and then they were butting their trolleys into her. I couldn't quite
That's
work
what it
out.
looked like, because her hair was stuck on the wheel, but she was already had the damage to her head to start with. So and it scalped. She was scalped.
Pretty
But
much, yeah. And then she runs
Ty,
away with it, flipping along the floor.
oh,
I was
but
like, nice.
Ty's delivery of that guttural scream, that grief, there's something you just can't teach people. That comes from real life experiences. That felt so real. That just scream, and then just fucking McDreamy standing over everything, watching it as it happens.
Yeah, and then shooting his gun into a light fixture.
Yeah, couldn't have done that just as before they came in. Do you know what I mean? Hey, we live and learn.
Fades
Let
into 1 year later.
Yeah, and we're back to another Black Friday sale, because guess what? It don't learn its lesson, because, to them, they did nothing wrong. It was the people, it wasn't the store.
I mean, right, I'm going to say two things. It was definitely the people. I
Yeah.
completely wholeheartedly agree. But you were the catalyst. So,
You have to have some
move on.
responsibility.
Yeah. So,
Take it.
bad taste. It's bad taste to reopen it on that day
Yeah.
again.
So,
You know,
so this movie has a total of 18 kills.
nice.
Yeah, that's a good score.
Mm.
If we're gonna, I mean, to be honest, I can't remember half of our kill counts
Yeah, I've got them written down somewhere.
somewhere, but I can't remember half of them. But I know that kind of like, because I think we got a shock on the Saw episode. We thought there would be more, and it was quite a low figure.
Mm.
So that's not for one movie. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not gonna beat up to Claude Rains now, is it? Who, by the way, had his heavenly 183rd birthday the other day.
183rd.
Yeah, 183rd. Yeah, I could be wrong. Don't quote us on that. I could be wrong. But on this day, as of recording, The Invisible Man came out.
Mm.
Yes. Also, there's been a few monster birthdays recently.
I'm innocent. I saw that one.
That was a lucky catch. That was a very lucky catch. Somebody who I follow had their birthday and was like, "Oh, I share a birthday with Millicent Patrick," and I'm like, "Do you really? Let's get a post up." So yes, 18 deaths in total, 11 men, 6 women, and 1 victim of unknown gender.
Yes, I think that. Yeah, that would have been the mascot. I was just trying to think what they call it. The mascot, because you didn't know whether the mascot was male or female inside there.
Ah, right. Gotcha. So yeah, Jessica's mum's died. That's the wah lady. No, she died off screen. So Jessica, her real mum,
Yes, the final girl. Yeah,
the final girl, yeah, her mum is dead off screen. So she gone. Doug is dead at this point of the movie. Doug's gone. And an unnamed male shopper, they're gone. Amanda Collins, gone.
Which was Ty Olson's wife, girlfriend.
Yes.
Partner. Yeah.
So they've reopened the shop and decided to get more security guards. And one of them said security guards is friend of the podcast, friend of the Star Trek podcast, I should say. It's David Jones, who is the sweetest person. I've messaged him a few times, and it's always when someone has passed away, and he just has the most sentimental things to say. He is such a sweetheart. But yes, he is an extra. He is a security guard in this movie. He is actually on screen for like a good few seconds, but he's also done work within Star Trek, and you can see him in episodes on the Trekking Up North podcast.
And he is often found in the chat on Nerdy Up North quite a lot
Yeah,
as well. So
he is.
on
Yeah,
the
he's honestly, Lovely guy. And he is in this movie as a security guard.
This is the bit where it starts to get a bit cloudy on what kill happens where, though, you know. So they go to reopen the store, not knowing that, you know, they're getting it ready at this point. I feel they're not opening the doors again just yet. And they're trying to show you all the sort of work in the last year that they've done to sort of right the wrongs and, you know, put people through college,
wash over
clean up
the blood, clean up all the blood with,
Yeah.
you know, good deeds.
and money. So they try and show that he's, you know, giving back to the community, and he's forcing his daughter to do all these like terrible commercials and be involved in all this sort of shit. And then it cuts to being in the diner where
yeah.
the lady behind the counter in the diner is the horrible lady who is who was one of the main protagonists in the Black Friday sale that trod on Doug, that was probably responsible for killing Amanda in one way or another.
Yeah.
And she was the waitress in the diner now. And this is where you first see the John Carver mask.
Yeah.
It was passed out like a party favor in Plymouth in Massachusetts. They, you know, it's like it's Thanksgiving, have you got your John Carver mask?
It's such a good mask.
Very clever, very clever.
Good detail in it. What really got me though is that you get to meet the new deputy here, and they make a kind of big of a deal of it, yet
not utilized in the set
at all. He could have been a massive red herring, huge red herring, but never actually used, or could have been the fucking hero. One of the two, but never actually utilized. I thought we were going to get something quite.
That entrance set him up to be like a hell of a character, where he comes bowling in the bloody diner car park. Fuck you, lady! And I was like,
yeah,
right, okay, we've got
some sassy one going on here.
And then you see him about 3 other times after that, and that's it. You know,
gone.
So this is where they're sort of introducing you to this woman again, reintroducing you to her, but her other side the year later, and like she's acting like nothing's happened. And
she literally does not give two shits.
Yeah, she's very much like, what do you want? One of those waitresses, you know, like.
Sorry, my eyes are playing tricks on me, and it looked like Chucky's hand moved behind your head. Like my heart stopped for a second. It's my eyes.
It's possibly happened.
I just went.
It's the whole situation there is trying to get you to not necessarily like her, but make you think that, okay, that was just a blip or one-off. She's not really like that. This is what she's like, kind of thing. And then she's closing down the diner, and this is where we get our first official kill, I want to say. And I have to say, I would put this at probably 7.5 to an 8 on my
inventive
scale of inventiveness. Ridiculous, but inventive.
Oh yeah, it's the dip of the water in the cold water to then put onto the freezer.
Where she rips off her side of her face.
Ah, it's so good.
And her fingertips. And I didn't realize the purpose of it until you see her with her phone. She can't do face activation, and she has no prints to swipe. So very, very clever thought process there, you know, because my being my generation, going to a mobile phone, whilst I know it makes sense, it's in your pocket, you want to ring 999, 911, wherever you are, you know, I hadn't put the thought process into not having half a face or not having fingers. You know, that's not where my brain naturally went. Oh, she's not going to be able to use her phone until you physically see her, and you're like, shit, she's not going to be able to use her phone.
It reminds me when I'm in my dream and I can't use my phone in my dreams at all, and she's sitting there swiping away, and it's like, but I was so happy with this kill. I'm not gonna lie, like she deserved this. Did she deserve it?
From what I remember, in the stomach a bit, didn't she? I can't remember.
She's drowned. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Flesh pulled off after being frozen to the fridge door and cut in half by a dumpster lid.
Yes.
After Carver drove a car into her.
Now, I want to say this was hilarious. And I do find these kind of kills funny. I don't know if that makes me sadistic. I don't know really what it says about me, but it was hilarious. To be honest with you, that just looked like it moved itself. that did. He looked like he turned just that way slightly then. That was weird. My eyes playing tricks on me.
What,
And
you Chucky?
no, Bob
Bob.
looked like he turned that way slightly.
That's what his hand. It looked like it went like that.
It's very
It's my
strange.
eyes.
But yeah, there was this bit where he's heading at her at the car. She's running away. Now, can we just make a point of saying, if someone's chasing you, don't run in a straight line. Why do you run in a straight line?
Oh, it's
And
Rick on all
especially,
over. It's Rick on all over again.
exactly. Why are you running towards a bin? Where do you think you're going to go?
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so she goes to, he hits her with the car, and as she goes, I can't work it out whether she was trying to jump in the bin or she got hit and was
Jump
like,
in the bin.
well, it kind
Get
of
in the bin.
it kind of looked like she was aiming to jump in it, but like at the same time she got hit, so she got like a bit of air. But then the dumpster lid comes down and literally cuts her in half. So the top half of her is now in the bin, and the bottom half of her is now slowly dropping down the front of the dumpster. And it's this next bit which I thought was very, very clever. You don't find out she's killed. They don't know anything in that, except for there's a call that comes into the station, and everybody's like, "There's something you need to do. You need to go down there and sort this out. Something's happened down at Best Buy, Buy Mart, whatever the shop's called." And her jeans with her legs in and her feet are on top of the sign on the star, impaled up her ass. Now, firstly, I refuse to believe that no one saw him do that.
Yeah.
You need a cherry picker to get up there.
And let's be honest, our killer is not the tallest of people.
No, but where are you going to get a silent cherry picker from and be able to do that in the middle of the night with no one noticing?
Movie
Magic. I know, but still, it's just one of
movie
the
magic. Then the next kill is Manny. Who's Manny?
Manny was the security guard that ran away. You know, the one that went, oh,
that's
fuck, Mason ran
right.
off.
Yes, I didn't realize what his name was.
Yeah.
So yes, he goes back to his apartment and he's ready to do one.
Yeah,
Because he's like, I'm fucking out of here. But he has the most beautiful, beautiful Maine Coon cat. Did anyone recognize said cat?
Church, isn't it?
It's Church. Yeah, I've just found my facts on it. Yeah, the cat is actually called Tonic. And he was previously in Pet Sematary. Unfortunately, Tonic passed away shortly after Pet Sematary. But oh my God, what a beautiful cat. Eli Roth said this cat was the best actor he's ever worked with. This cat did what it was meant to do. And they called him Leonardo DiCaprio. Because they said he was such a good boy and he followed every cue. And that's really unusual because cats don't listen to you at all. I mean, to be fair, Loki understands, and that's to go to bed. But apart from that, they just look at you like, who the fuck who do you think you're commanding? Like, I run this house. My 3 cats actually do run my house, so. But yeah, it was Church, it was Tonic, it was and do you know what made my heart melt even more? He left the cat alone. He fed the cat.
He did say his friend was coming. I'm sure he says something along the lines of someone's coming to look after you. He does say something like that.
No, but Carver, he fed the cat and give it a stroke on the head and just went, because he just takes one look at it, like turns around after he's done his kill, and then he looks at this cat, and there's such a long gap between like they're looking at each other, and then you think, oh God, he's gonna kill the cat, and like no, he feeds the cat, and just goes like and strokes it on its head and walks away.
Which, if we're talking about traditional serial killers, we all know they've had bumps on the head and they all kill animals before they escalate to people. So,
well, this one didn't.
Exactly.
This one was quite
was...
an invent. This is the carving
Yeah.
knife, which I didn't quite see at first. I was like, "Ooh, what's he just getting?" Oh, interesting. But then he gets his head taken off.
He gets garroted with cheese wire, doesn't he? Like,
I love that word.
Go-
Garroted. It's like the word bastion. I love the word bastion. Yeah, good on
Is
it.
this where he sticks his head in a bag and walks off though at the end? Like he puts
I
Manny's head in
feel
a
like
bag.
he's got something in his hand. Well, yes, because he takes it and puts it on the table.
Yes,
So
yes, he
yes,
does.
he does. Who's Lonnie?
Lonnie is the guy that grabbed the megaphone that told everybody that the store was open that caused the push, the jock from
Oh, that's right. He's the one with the trampoline girl, isn't he? And
Yes,
that head twist,
pretty good.
pretty damn good.
Mm.
The fact that they were still sitting up afterwards is pretty impressive.
I mean, it was obviously not going to be anatomically correct because that would not happen in any way, shape, or form. Your body wouldn't sustain that.
I don't think anyone could get that trajectory on a person's head to be able to turn it 180 degrees. I don't think that's. Don't get us wrong. Please don't try and come and prove it to us,
No,
but I don't think you could do that.
no, but still, in Fantasyland, it looked like a good kill because
It did.
this is the bit that I remembered. Right, I'd seen this film not long after it came out because it actually, I want to say premiered, but that might be a strong word. For the Love of Horror last year, it was their movie that
Oh,
they
it was. Yeah, it was.
for
The
the
Friday night.
night for Friday night, and they had like I don't think it had gone out anywhere in the UK at that point.
Mm-mm.
It might have had a Leicester Square premiere or not. I don't know, but this might have been its premiere in the UK. So I knew of it, but we didn't get to see it that night. But I think I watched it not long after it
Yeah, me too.
done its run. And this was the kill with her on the trampoline that I remembered the most out of all of the kills. I remembered this one because it was so ridiculous. It was just beyond ridiculous. This one, inventive again.
I liked the bone cracking. I did like the sound of the bone cracking. Oh, I am so weird. I understand that. But yeah, I name wise, I didn't even know his name was Lonnie.
No,
Lonnie Ingle. Who was that?
her name was Amy. The trampoline.
Oh, this is awful. Oh no, I don't like this. This is a good kill, but no, I don't like this. This one freaked me out a bit.
This is the one I remembered the most. The trampoline thing.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous in like on paper. I don't know when they looked at that and went,
It's quite clever though.
yeah,
But
grim.
no.
That is gonna stay with me for a little while. Like if I ever went on, not that I would go on a trampoline because I'm of an age now where trampolining could cause me to put my hip out. But like,
Even when I was at an age, I'm not like I am not terrified of hurting my back. Like my back feels like a sheet of glass. And I am so scared of doing something to it. Like I never did trampolining at school or gymnastics because I was like, I'm not bending like that. You will snap my back. So yeah, I don't do trampolines at all. My nephew tried to get me on one once and I was like, no. Leave
but
me
now
alone.
I'm gonna be looking under one before I ever get on one if I was to ever get on one because that was that was the fact I think the fact what sort of icked me out even more was that she decided to take her underwear off just as he
Oh,
had
I
his neck
didn't see
broken.
that.
Yeah, you see her like literally she sits him in front of herself, so she's jumping up and down. She has her back to him because she's trying to plan this sexy reveal thing. He's got his neck broken anyway, so he's looking the other way. She's taken her underwear off and about to take her top off. She doesn't get as far as taking her top off because when she goes to bounce, it cuts her Achilles heel and goes up the back of her leg. And then when she comes down a second time, I think it gets her in the buttock or in the leg. And then when she comes down the third time, he gets her in the side. And you're like, oh well, that's her gone. No, she's to be visited again upon at some point later on down the line. But yeah, this one was like, oh, I don't like that, and I
No,
don't know.
no, don't like that. Um, the next one says unarmed police officer.
I don't recall that one.
It says debatable.
Mm.
And also Yuli's father. That's it. It's the security guard or the police officer. Yeah,
Yeah, that's at the house. Yeah.
yeah. Yuli's father shot by Carver with a dart. So
Hmm.
again, debatable if they're dead or not.
Yeah.
Could just be tranquilized.
He was the Russian dude, wasn't he? And
Yeah,
then
Yeah, because Yuli's gonna get taken away and got taken to Florida.
Mhm.
And her dad, yeah, it's a daughter, so you don't know. Her dad could be very much alive because her dad didn't do anything. If he's gonna stick to his you know, mythos that he of the people who he thinks need punishing, Yuli's dad really wasn't one of them.
No, no.
But Yuli's next on the list.
Yeah, she gets stabbed with 2 corn on the cob holders in her ears.
Stay away from your ears, please. Like, I'm already deaf in one. Like, I don't particularly want no. It reminds us of how I actually have a hole in my eardrum.
It was literally just like she was
Ugh.
clipping her ears, and it was foreshadowing. It was
Yeah.
very, very quick foreshadowing, mind.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you
It doesn't give you time to sit
needing
with it.
time to go and go, oh, that's what that is, until after it happens, and you go, oh wow, that's what that was. And then she rips them out of her own ears. Now, what people probably thought was, oh, she's being a bit like, running down the stairs, girl all over the place. If you have your ears fucked with, you have really bad balance, you have really bad equilibrium, you can't find your own footing. So that I thought she dealt with that really quite well.
Yeah, I've got no balance. For someone who does yoga every day, I have no balance. I tilt to the side all the time. I used a big pen top, the sharp big. I used one of them when I had an ear infection and I pushed too far and the thing went into my eardrum and I've got a hole in my eardrum because of it. I also have tinnitus because I stood in front of a speaker at a gig for 4.5 hours and didn't move once. And that was 20 years ago, and I have never been able to hear in my left ear since. And it's
Nothing.
all, yeah, it's all happened in my left ear. Like, and if you talk to us, make sure you're talking to us on my right side and then don't talk behind us because it throws us. I don't know where you are.
Mm.
Don't like it, but yeah, that just reminded us too much of me, and I was like, oh nah, don't
The
like
only
the ear
issue I
stuff.
had with yeah, the only issue I had with her death was where she starts crawling on the ground, army, that army crawl that they do. And it's like, look, there's nothing wrong with your legs. You don't
Get
have
up.
balance, okay, but there's nothing wrong with your
It's
bloody
like
legs.
when Andy gets shot in the office, and it's
Oh,
his ear, and then he limps, and he's like, "Why are you limping?"
yeah, he's very much that with some of these kills. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
but she
but yeah, she then
gets
get
thrown into a
manages to get
buzzsaw.
downstairs, doesn't she? And they
Hmm.
think that he's there. The friends have bust in. They've got a gun, um, and they're threatening John Carver with the gun. And you think they're in the safe, and then all of a sudden he pushes Yulia, and instead of her sort of steadying herself, she go like properly, like being able to stop. She puts her hand out, and the circular saw's been turned on by John. It takes all of her fingers off, and then she continues to fall, and it literally just guts her. It
Yeah,
goes across and guts her. So
buzzsaw in the
yeah,
chest. Um,
disemboweled.
Lionel
I think Lionel was the mascot. I think maybe
was it
because
decapitated?
and the flight and the parade.
Right, then that's Lionel.
The mascot got basically decapitated in the middle of this float parade thing, and carnage ensued. Um, it was crazy. Like
Yeah, is that
this
crazy?
town,
I can't generally remember it.
yeah, this town shouldn't have any group gatherings. That's the conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Unnamed man impaled through the back of the face by a hull of a fake ship. Why do I not remember this death?
Maybe they cut it out because I can't say I remember it either. But it was one of the parade floats basically, and it just
Oh, unarmed police officer shot by the sheriff.
maybe don't
Yeah.
remember that either.
Um, Kathleen Wright. This is my favorite death
Yeah,
in the whole film.
this one they put time into, which I appreciated more
Prep,
because
literal
you
prep.
you know that the final girl doesn't really like her stepmother. She
I
doesn't
mean,
really.
she is a twat.
She is a bit of a try hard. Your dad's. I've got your dad's ear. You can get fucked. Kind of like one of those
Yeah.
stepmothers where she
She
wants to
doesn't look that she doesn't
prioritize.
look that much older than her stepdaughter, to be honest.
And she wants to be prioritized over the daughter when, let's be honest, don't be silly. But yeah, she seems very much that way inclined, you know.
Yeah. She is stabbed in the back with a pitchfork. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily in order because I remember when you first see her, she's getting prepped.
Yeah.
Literally
First.
prepped. She is on a slab. She is getting basted. She is getting seasoned. She's going in the fucking oven.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite yet, though.
I can't work out.
How he was going to.
It was more so like the what led to this being the specific thing that he wanted to do. You know, like was it the vengeance towards the dad
Well, he wanted to hurt.
character?
Hurt him.
It was him. It wasn't. This woman did nothing apparently
No.
other than egg him on to open up on Black Friday.
And he wouldn't have known that. That's not a fact he would have known.
So this is the one kill which I think is the best kill in the lot, but also the only purpose I can see would be to piss the dad off, but there's no way of him knowing that that would have been the situation. So it's a bit of a what the fuck moment.
Yeah, but she does have a moment where you think she's going to escape, and then tits up. It just does not go well for her at all, and it's not revealed until later at the dinner table, where it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You've got Dad at the head of the table. You've got all the other guests' heads there, and then you've got the survivor. Yeah, and you've got the surviving people sitting there, and then he serves up the main course, which is her head cooked.
And she's like tied like a turkey, isn't she? Like her body.
Yeah.
And it's basically you see him put her in the oven and turn the heat up. And then you see him reopen the oven, stick a thermometer in her, and then shut the oven again. And you don't see the whole demise. No. You just see her pass out. But I tell you what, that I can imagine was horrific
to shoot. Yeah, a lot. Like,
but also like they didn't take it to the point where you saw her like hair start matting up. They didn't take it to the point where, you know, because your hair would burn because the heat level that was in there. But you didn't get to see all those details, and you didn't need to because she did such a good job when they did the oven. You had a couple of shots where she was in the oven and they were alluding to how hot it was because you could start to see her skin burning and things like that. But then when they panned out and you could see her through the glass thing and she couldn't even put her feet down, like she was holding her arms up like this and her legs weren't touching anything, and she was like in this tiny little kind of thing.
I thought she was going to make it, you know, when she got out. I really did.
He proper javelined that pitchfork at her, didn't he?
Yeah. That was some skill. That literally was some skill.
But,
yeah, go on.
No, it's the way he serves her up and then starts carving her thigh and goes to give her to the dad, and the dad's chucking up, but he's also got a gag on.
Oh, he's like proper spewing, and he's like, oh, it's awful. And then he taunts the dad by putting I thought the dad was gonna get it. It's like, I'm shocked that he survived. But
because
then
he fixated on the final girl for some reason, like it was all her fault. And I'm like, I don't understand why. I mean, is that the fact that her death would hurt the dad even more than him being killed, killing his daughter, leaving him with nobody? I mean,
that's because he's vengeful because he's being left with no one. He's had a life taken away from him, so he wants to take. So that's the only real thing I can put it down to, because nothing else makes sense apart from taking her or taking the stepmom away takes away a life he's not going to have anymore.
Right, yeah, okay.
Keeping him alive is more painful than torturing him.
Yeah.
If he takes away the two things he loves the most. So that's the only thing I can put it down to. Otherwise, there's no reason for her to be the final girl.
No.
And a really bad one at that. Who's Evan?
Evan is the floppy-haired jock boyfriend.
Oh, that's right. He gets killed at the table. He's the first one to get there. He got Negan treatment. He got his skull squashed.
He did. He got and it was all live streamed on TikTok or on Instagram Live. I can't remember which one it was, but
it was a meat tenderizer. Oh.
And it had a waffle iron on the.
Fuck off, it didn't.
According to what I read, right now, but bear in mind, we do a lot of research and you see the same things over and over again, but then you also see the same thing but slightly different over and over again. Now, on about 2 or 3 of the sites I saw it that they said it was a waffle iron attached to the end of the meat tenderizer to be symbolic about what had happened from the Black Friday sale. But then other sites didn't even say that; it just said it was a meat tenderizer.
That's funny that if it was, oh, that'd be hilarious.
But yeah, that's the two the you know the thing that I read. But
that is no, I like that one. Have the waffle iron because let's bring it full circle. Let's bring it all full circle back to the beginning. Waffle irons. Jesus Christ. We go into the end of the film. So there's actually some escapees. Carver doesn't get out of it in a good place.
No.
If his plan was to kill everyone at that table, it didn't get the plan.
No, Final Girl and Scuba managed to escape because she got that weird little sharp knife off of
Oh yeah.
what it was, wasn't it? She grabbed.
Hey, I tell you what, though, Scuba put up a decent fight. Decent fight.
Yeah, he won't, you know, in the grand scheme of things, he did pretty well. It's the yeah, from here we go into the bit where she runs around as she does, trying to find somewhere to hide.
Yeah.
Because he'd set up this table in the underground tunnels near the place where the parade floats were kept.
Yeah.
And then she finds McDreamy on the floor, all battered and bruised, and
yeah,
up. So you're like, oh God,
oh,
no, what's
well,
happening?
shit! It's not him.
It's
It clearly
got to
can't
be
be
the
him.
deputy. Could it be
Oh.
someone else? Where's Bobby? What the hell's going on now?
Yeah.
A creepy new boyfriend, Ryan. You know.
Oh, her ex-boyfriend who was actually a victim of the whole waffle iron incident because he was a star baseball player who got his arm broken and he ended up moving away for a year, and it could be him because he hasn't been there for that. He hasn't been around, and then he just somehow shows up at the end
dressed as John Carver, unbeknownst to anybody for the reason why.
He's part of the parade.
Yeah, but you don't walk around with a mask on when there's nobody around.
That's true. You take it off. That is true. I mean, I would, but I don't like dressing up. No, I don't. You need to see. But yeah, so they're in. I think they're in the police station. They're in some form of station, and there's evidence back now. It took me a while to realize how she did this, but the evidence bags in front of her was the kid's phone.
Right.
Was the floppy-haired guy's phone, which is what he took from the shop and used to record the incident, and she uses it when we get the big reveal that McDreamy has been Carver this whole time.
Because she sees a bit of dirt on his trousers.
Fucking great mouse detective.
But then she starts putting it all together. But if you are an eagle-eyed person, if you are someone who knows these kind of movies inside out, if you are somebody that watches YouTube cheat videos to find out Easter eggs, you can blatantly see it if you're guided in that fashion that it is him all the way through. I mean, you have your moments where you think, yeah, it's him 100%, and then like you say, you get pulled out of it, and you're like, no, it must.
I did. But I'm really naive, so I was like, "Oh, he's on the ground, he's hurt. Oh, he's such a nice person. He couldn't do that. Yeah, he can actually do this. He did do this. It's the switcheroo. It's the maniacal bad guy, like the Scooby-Doo bad guy coming out at the end. His whole demeanor just like completely changes, and then she does the whole switcheroo, like I've been recording your confession. No.
Well, firstly, I'm impressed that it still has battery life on that phone. Secondly, she got into the Wi-Fi quite quickly and was she managed to open his Instagram live stream very quickly also.
Kids these days, man, they can just do it.
Little ninjas, yeah. So basically, she recorded his entire confession online and put it out there, and he realizes he's fucked. He goes from being quite amenable in the respect of that he's calm, even when he's telling he is who he is. He's like, I did it because he you killed the only person I ever loved, and we were going to run away together. And that's where you find out that Gina Gershwin, who was on the floor, who got her scalp ripped off, she was having an affair with McDreamy, and they were going to run away and leave Ty Olsson.
She was pregnant. So not only did you kill her, killed the baby. And so he had his whole family taken away from him. Whole fake family. Wasn't real.
No, just the whole thing is very strange. But yeah, it's so you see his demeanor start to change. You see him become, like you say, the Scooby-Doo villain, and
It is Scooby-Doo-ish.
but then it just goes to hell in a handbasket after that, because like they're running around. Bobby comes and rescues her somehow. She runs into Bobby, and they're running around.
Jumps through the window, goes out the front door.
That's it. And then there's a big explosion because there's helium balloons from the parade boats.
Foreshadowing.
Boom. Basically, Patrick Dempsey goes boom. But then it's the bit that gets me is like the fireman comes out and goes, "There's no way anybody could have survived that. There's just ash everywhere." And I'm like, dude, cremations. It's not hot enough to leave a pile of ash.
No, it really isn't. Also, if you were watching closely, he got flung across the other side of the room. He didn't. If anything, he's probably just had a good bat on the head.
And
But
you
yeah,
see how, I mean, if you've got a brain, you will know the way that they blatantly pointed to the fact that he was in one of those firemen's uniforms that were walking out, because they all come out, they all had dark masks on. You couldn't see one of them. And it was like, is it him? Is it him? Is it him? Well, she was looking at him like she was going to say, it's one of these guys, and she said nothing.
Nope.
So I was just like, do you know what? If he comes back for you in part 2, it's on you, love, you know.
And it has left it wide open for a part 2.
It has. Yeah. I mean, you'll either get Revenge of McDreamy, Thanksgiving 2, Revenge of McDreamy, or there'll be another person that's going to play
John
Revenge.
Carver versus McDreamy versus McSteamy. Let's do this.
It's just, and then let's throw in Rebecca Gay Hart's crazy character from Urban Legend as well.
Let's do it. Them eyes, them fucking eyes.
She's always had hair that I've been jealous of. Like,
yeah,
insanely beautiful for me, Rebecca Gay Hart. And even when I met her, her hair was beautiful. Beautiful.
I've just nearly choked on water.
And we know, I do know what happened with Rebecca Gay Hart. So if anybody starts going, "Oh, she did this, she did that," yes, she did. She, no, allegedly about it. There was a car accident, and there was an accident, and someone died. And
no, she didn't. She didn't.
She was driving the vehicle. The person that died was outside of the vehicle, from what I've read. And yeah, basically the person died. She did get charged with vehicular manslaughter, or whatever the equivalent is in America. I don't know what was agreed on, because she dropped out of the limelight for a few years. I don't think she did any time like behind bars. I think she might have done house arrest, or she might have done parole or something like that, you know, like out, you know, like what do they call it? Not parole, what do we call it? You know, when people go out and
community service.
Yeah, sorry. I know they have something else they call it in America, but like,
she probably did more than Matthew Broderick did. Who said that? Can't stand the man.
I will never take Ferris Bueller or Godzilla away from Matthew Broderick, or War Games, but yeah, just
not a good person.
Double standards and all that shit.
Oh, mercifully.
But yeah. So if anybody comes for me about talking about Rebecca Gay Hart, that's her private life. That's absolutely shit all to do with who we see on screen and the character she plays. And at the end of the day, I loved her in Urban Legend. I loved her in Dead Like Me. Dead Like Me was
that's
one
the second time that's come up today.
Best TV shows. Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah.
So many people in it. And then
that's so odd. Michaela mentioned it the other day. It's starting to show up on clips on my TikTok now, and my phone does listen to me. Oh, that's so weird. I didn't know she was in it, actually. I never watched it.
Avoid the movie. Avoid the movie. The movie doesn't really do it justice. There's a 2-season TV show, and it's about Georgie, this girl who gets killed by a toilet seat from the space station. And
yes.
And so she gets recruited by the Grim Reapers.
Right.
And
I do remember it, like, to a degree, but I never watched it.
I kept making the jokes that, that would be me. That's how I'd die. Some fluke accident, like a toilet seat would fly out and kill me in the middle of the street. I'm sure her name was Georgie. No, was that her sister's name? Something like that. Anyway, it's like, It's one of
Oh,
those random things, but Mandy Patinkin plays our boss, and he's the one that hands out the post-it notes, you know, with the people on that she has to go and help along.
Michaela was talking about it. She used to watch it, and like I say, it's been popping up on me TikTok. I didn't know she was in that. Have you got any more on John Carver?
Only that he actually was, from what I could read, an actual real character, which I wasn't sure.
Yes, I have it here.
Mayflower?
The killer's costume is inspired directly by the iconic paintings of John Carver, who was one of the pilgrims on the Mayflower voyage. The mask they wear is a recreation of Carver's face. There you go.
I,
So it was his face.
as they said that the girl was like ninth descendant of John Carver. I was like, I wasn't sure whether it was just a random name they pulled out of a hat, like there was a guy called John Carver, or he actually was the guy that looked like the mask that was the person that came over, blah blah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so,
I don't know enough on the only American history I kind of know is what like I'm very obsessed with JFK. Like the JFK is like that side of the American history. But I know Alexander Hamilton, but I don't know anything else. So I apologize for my ignorance on American history.
well, the Mayflower thing is us going over there, making New England, or not making New England, but you know what I mean?
Us.
Like, yeah, British. We went
Did
over. New England is called New England because we started colonies and settlements there.
Oh,
So
as we do.
yeah, and it was all that's why when you look at New England, you've got Plymouth, you've got Gloucester, you've
Oh yeah.
so many British names in Massachusetts because it is New England.
Do you wanna know something that kind of links America to where I live? Washington,
Mm-hmm.
which is right for 5 minutes away from me. And there is
Boston,
Washington.
which is about 20 minutes from me.
Well, George Washington House, which is in Washington, was his parents' house or grandparents' house, but the family is buried there, and it's like 5 minutes away from us.
It's weird.
And I live near Philadelphia. It's a true story. Literally, there's like Shiny Row, Philadelphia, Washington, and anyone from the Northeast would know that.
Yeah, because there's a Peterborough in Massachusetts. There's also a like I say, everybody knows Boston, but it's
Mm.
named after in Lincolnshire, Boston in Lincolnshire. So it's very much where we colonized and we set up our New England with all the new names. Hence why Plymouth, this is Plymouth, Massachusetts, and the Mayflower came from the UK over to brought people over, and yeah.
The more you know.
Well, we obviously there was a whole thing because Plymouth, Massachusetts was Native American land, and I'm not even going to attempt to butcher Native American indigenous language because the county itself, they have kept the indigenous name for it. But I'm just not going to attempt to even
No.
pronounce it because
And
frankly,
I can
it was hard
totally
enough trying to pronounce that name earlier.
I totally understand that. I'm all out of Carver. I'm all out of Thanksgiving. I'm stuffed.
Yeah, I will say 7.5 for the kills out of 10,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But the kills, not for the story, not for the characters.
I'll knock it up to an 8 because of the closing song where Eagles Dare by the Misfits.
Right.
It's so out of place, but I loved it. Like it just because it's like like it's so like oh hey, should that really be in there? But for me it works. As a Misfits fan, it works. So that was Thanksgiving. We're keeping on the festive route next week. But this is the last episode of Monsters Up North for 2024 for season 2.
It's a 2.
Season 2. And we will be taking a break, a well overdue break for someone. But me, I won't. I will still be here. Not here, not monsters. I will be doing other stuff within Nerdy Up North. But this lady needs her rest. Audio listeners won't be able to see Dan's really fake smile.
I am a
Or-
ghost of a person.
Well, next week, like I said, we're staying on the festive, and while we're doing a movie that absolutely shocked the life out of me on how good it was, because to look at it, you think, oh, you should not work. But it works. It worked for me. Did it work for you?
I'm not, as well we know Daniel doesn't like Christmas. So
No.
trying to get me to watch a festive movie, the closest you get is Black Christmas or Home Alone. That's where my brain lives in it, or maybe
Well,
Lin's or Die Hard, depending on where you sit with them.
well, combine it all. Combine Home Alone, combine Die Hard, stick in some Norse mythology in there, and you have, oh my God, I can't remember what it's called.
Violent Night.
Violent Night. I was going to call it Fright Night. And I was like, oh, no, wrong film. Oh, yeah, you get Violent Night. Ah, that would have been such a good thing if I didn't fuck that up. Yeah, next to finish off season 2, I got Dan to do a Christmas film again.
But it's okay because it's David Harbour, and it's okay because I remember I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was
I
so
haven't
much
seen
fun.
it for an entire year because I will not force myself to watch anything Christmassy
Yeah.
during the year,
Same.
except for Home Alone. And then so yes, and then break.
Yes, and then break, and then we return for season 3 on the 13th of January.
Yes,
There is a reason for it, and I'm not going to tell you it right now because I'll tell you what's going on, but there is a reason. Well, we are back the 13th of January.
I will be going into full-time hibernation. I'm like a bear.
Good for you. No, I'm really jealous of you because I wish I could, but I can't do it. So
Doesn't know how to stop. Yeah.
I will eventually one day. So this has been Thanksgiving. Next week is Violent Night. And you can find us on YouTube every Monday at 8. Well, not every Monday, for this Monday and next Monday at 8 o'clock. The audio for this episode is available on a Tuesday. You have to. So we are on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. There's a section on there you can find us. But for our audio, all you got to do is search Monsters Up North from anywhere you get your podcast from. You will find us with the Frankenstein logo. We're right there. Can't miss us. It goes up on a Tuesday. The links for Bleeding Marvelous, Monsters Up North, and Nerdy Up North are where, Dan?
Down there.
And
Down there.
and your pretty nails.
Don't tell anyone I've got pink fingernails. They'll not believe you.
They won't, but just go, Dan's got pink fingernails. And they're very pretty. I
People
really
are
like them.
colourblind, they're not pink.
Jake will agree with you. Jake won't be able to see them because he is colourblind.
So Jake is correct. They're not pink.
Yeah, they're not pink. Yes, links and audio and YouTube, and I think that is it.
I
think.
reckon so.
Yeah, well, if there's nothing else left to say goodbye, Dan.
I'm a ghost of myself.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye.